What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Melanin Mindset. If it's your first time viewing, welcome. If you are back, welcome back. I am the Nappy Dreamer,
And I'm Kia Blaine.
and together
Good
we get
evening. Oh,
together we make up the Melanin Mindset. Y'all, we just two best friends having some good conversation and having a good time doing it. Okay, so with our topic tonight, we are hopping in deep. We are diving in to talk about the submissive wife.
so guys, Marquita, I always tell you to do that little plug thing you be doing.
Oh, my
Telling
bad, my bad. All right.
everybody.
So
Like,
if you're
comment,
watching,
subscribe.
like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and share this with somebody who you care about because tonight, when we talk about the submissive wife, we really want everyone to hear. If you are viewing us on YouTube, go ahead and give us that good old thumbs up and share the video and let people know that we are on. It is after 8:30. It is time to get into it.
All right. So we're gonna there as we were going over this topic, there was a lot of different angles we thought about hitting this from. So we're just gonna go from the angle of being a submissive wife. Am I able to, like, what it takes for me to be able to be the submissive wife? So as always, we like to give y'all a little bit of a definition. We
A
know
little bit.
we like our dictionary around here. So submissive wife, per the MW dictionary, Merriam-Webster, is ready to conform to authority or the will of others, meekly obedient or passive, a submissive, almost sheep-like people. To be submissive also means to yield or obey someone else. So when you hear that definition, friend, like how does that make you feel when you put the word submissive in front of wife? Like,
Submissive is a touchy one already. So when people think of submissive, they thinking weak to begin with.
yeah.
So submissive can be a little rough to address, but with me knowing what submissive is and what the call is, I feel all right. But for those who are viewing us, they probably don't feel so easy
So
with it.
like I feel like just as a people, as melanin people, like when we hear submit, we automatically go into that default mode and get on the defense because our history, the slaves had to submit to master. So it's like, I don't gotta submit to nothing, I'm free. So
Give us free. That's homicide, right?
give us free, give us
Let's give
free.
us free, man.
So when we talk about being submissive as a wife, though, like, where does that come from? Like, why is that a thing?
Well, we took a really strong angle because we're both women of faith. So we took a angle of looking into the Bible to get a better clarifier. So I think now would be the time for your disclaimer.
What's my disclaimer today? I don't know. I always need one.
Oh, gracious, your disclaimer because of where we're coming from today.
What do you
For those
mean?
viewers who may not quite agree with where we came from with our
Well, it ain't about
subject.
them a great. These are two friends having conversations. So
That's
when
true,
we
but we
think
got
submissive, we know it's from the Bible, it's from Scripture. So we are leaning on the Scripture from Ephesians when we are talking about being a submissive wife. So if you want to reference and read it yourself, because we're not going to read all through it, but we will reference it as we have this conversation because that's where it comes from. I don't know if anybody else has heard from any other source to be submissive, but anytime I hear the term submissive wife, I immediately go, oh, because that's what the Bible says. The Bible says it's supposed to be a submissive wife. So we went to the scripture to find out where and how it is telling us to be submissive.
like there's literally a guidebook, like a whole section that gives a thorough outline and a guide. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And we do want you to challenge some of our views. And so we're going to be looking to see what you all have to say as it relates to these different areas of that particular scripture. So I went ahead and put it on the screen there, Ephesians 5:22 to 23. And no, we are not
That's
preaching
not
tonight, but it is 22 through 23. I mean 33. I
that's
said 23. That's definitely a 3 and a 3.
How come that wasn't what I was seeing? I was seeing something else.
Yep,
Oh, I
definitely
see it now.
to the
Okay, okay, okay. I, no, I'm just saying on my screen I didn't see the Ephesians, so there it is. I see it now. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 to 33. Okay, so what friend? Okay, let's just go. Friend, do you feel like you're a submissive wife?
I'm not always, no.
Okay,
Full
so like,
disclosure, I am not always the submissive.
so like, do you feel like it's a problem that you're not always submissive?
No. I don't think
Like
it's a
I,
problem. I know it's not necessarily right when we look at the way we looked it up, but no. I feel as though there are some instances where a wife may appear to be leading, but in actuality, yeah, my husband takes the lead on majority of the things. I run everything
um,
past him. So I guess I am a submissive wife because I do. I run everything past him. I don't do too
mhm.
much of nothing without talking to him first. Like even if somebody said,
Yeah,
"Mark,
and
yeah." Mm-mm.
I feel like if we are in some type of partnership as strong as husband and wife, you would run things by each other. But it does seem like in most marriages, though, just by nature, wives are more prone to like running it by the husband more so than the opposite.
Right.
You agree?
I agree 100%.
Like
My
I feel like
husband
husbands have,
will he'll go do stuff and then come tell me as an afterthought. He
yeah.
talking about 7 weeks strong. I hate him so much. Y'all listen, I'm not about to talk about him. But yes, he's got a really good track record right now of running things by me. Apparently he's keeping track. He is 7 weeks strong with letting me know when he's gonna do something before he does it. Y'all, that's
Mm,
why we have these conversations because they're things that actually hit home for us. So we talk
yeah.
about different topics that actually apply to us in the way we live our lives. So when you hear different things, such as my husband commenting in there talking about 7 weeks strong, it's because,
So wait, but was he talking about you being? Was he talking about that, or was he talking about
he's
us?
talking about
Because we've
himself.
been no, but listen, this is episode 7. We've been 7 weeks strong as well.
Hold up. This is
So
episode 7. Look at him with the head.
yeah. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know if he was being
Listen,
personal or if he was talking about Melanin Mindset. We've been 7 weeks strong. This
well,
is our
thank you
seventh
so
week.
much, babe, for that 7 week shout out. But at the same time,
I was like,
well,
wait,
you
I
just
don't know
put
if that's
yourself out there, so it is what it is. But like, full disclosure at this point. So, you're not gonna always see eye to eye. You're not gonna always be able to communicate these things. So it's for when you have those hiccups, you just reset. So at this point, I was thinking he was talking about something totally different. I was about to say, babe, thank you for
Look, about to
boxing me
air
into my
me out.
comment.
Look,
Yeah.
about to air me out. That's what I was like, wait, I don't know if that's what he meant. Oh
Let
my.
me be a submissive wife for a second and not mention that because as we get into this a little bit, you're going to learn about how those dynamics connect as well. So, friend, when you were talking about, we were looking at security, and it basically
Yes.
says in Merriam-Webster, security is literally the state of being free from danger or threat.
Yeah.
So, good evening, when we're working with
Hey
the
Valerie.
topic of a submissive wife, being submissive requires some level of security, wouldn't you think? To be able to yield to
Absolutely.
the will of somebody else, wouldn't you need some type of security?
Absolutely. If we even think about our jobs, if you think about where you work, the more secure words, the more secure you are in your job, the more willing you are to work and be free to be of assistance, you be more helpful. But when you don't feel secure in your job, you have this like you gonna have to do stuff attitude. Y'all lucky if I do clock in. Don't call me until I clock in. I work at 4.
Period.
I'm not answering y'all till 4. But when you
Listen,
have that security in your job, and you somewhat are secure, like they take care of me. When bonuses come around, they get me. You be like, okay, I'll answer my phone at 3:45. I'll answer them at 3 o'clock if it's an emergency
I'll do a
because
little
you
overtime if
have
they
that
ask me.
security. And the same is true for our relationships. Like you're not I don't feel secure if I don't feel as though my husband is a provider, or I don't feel like my husband got my back. Like if I get into a fight, like you just gonna let me get beat up. or any of that, like it's going to be very hard for me to even think about being submissive to you when you're not even providing any type of security for me, my future, my children, my home, anything like that.
Right, right, right. Like, do I feel as though you protected me? Do I feel safe? Can I be vulnerable? What were some of the other things that came up? Does he provide, like you said, like, are you doing the things that would yield my submission? Like
Yes.
nowadays, we look like, oh, he got to give us something for him to get. No, I entered into marriage. There are roles that we now play. And we
Yeah.
learned a little bit more from that when we were looking into the scripture that we were referencing. Welcome to those who are just joining in on us. If you're viewing on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and hit that share button. Give us a like, give us a heart, throw something up there if you watch it from Facebook. And if you're watching from YouTube, go ahead and drop us a comment down below. Hey, Jackie girl. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We do appreciate each and every one of you all tuning in with us each week. And we're talking about the submissive wife this evening. And we did share that ours is faith based. So we are referencing Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 and 22 through 23. Now, listen, don't say anything if I stumble
33.
over that.
33.
30, thank you. If
33.
I'm stumbling over
33.
that tonight, it is
That
hard to say 22 through 33. Okay, that is
was.
difficult. So y'all gonna have to
Go
bear with
ahead.
me tonight.
Go ahead and code switch so you can get it out right.
Right. That is gonna be Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 through 20 through 30. I can't even say it with my
No,
voice, bro.
it just ain't working. All right, all right, all right.
I
So,
can't say it. I'm
um,
sorry, y'all. But
so
yeah,
what we talking about?
that level of security is important when it comes down to being able to be submissive. So there are times that you're gonna feel like, okay, does he deserve my submission? But as I was sharing, it is a clear outline and it's roles that we each play. So, friend, you want to dive into some of the explanations on the roles that we play, and when it comes to being married, and even implementing or having yourself in that position of being a submissive wife.
Okay, yes, but I don't know why my brain just went somewhere else real quick because we were still talking about security, and I feel like you jumped on me. But I had a comment and now it's gone. Wait, it's gonna come back. So no, what I was thinking was about, like, we say security, and we're talking about like uh you know you taking care of me and things like that. But there's also that vulnerability that we kind of keep coming back
Oh
to.
yeah, the vulnerability.
Like, if you're an asshole, like, I'm not gonna be submissive to you. Like, it's gonna be very hard. And if I'm submissive to you and you're an asshole, it's probably because I'm afraid. And then that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, like, are you really well, I guess you are submitting if it's in fear. It's still a form of submission.
It is, but that's not what we want. Like, you should
No.
never have to be your being submissive should be, it should just come, it comes natural. Just like, even you said, I asked your friend, are you submissive? But then when you thought about it, you're like, well, I guess I am. And it's effortless because you feel that love from your spouse, from your husband, and that makes it easy to submit because they are loving, caring, provide security. You're able to be vulnerable. And that's so important.
It's more than important, because if you can't have that, and that transcends any relationship you have. If you can't have that security in your relationship where you don't feel that fear of connecting with that person or sharing with that person or being yourself with that person, like, dude,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that transcends it. It seems like our topics really do run all together, because it's like it's
They really
building
do.
blocks. Legit
Mm-hmm.
building blocks. But yeah, no, exactly as you were saying though, with the submission situation, that security is a major part. That vulnerability, ooh, that
Yeah.
vulnerability. I shared a
It,
post
it's
earlier.
it's hard enough for us to be vulnerable with, like, each other, with our friends, but to be vulnerable with your spouse, and the thought of that, of your husband not, and I'm gonna just keep saying husband because we're talking about a submissive wife.
Right.
The idea of your husband not being loving, or at least accepting your responses in such a way where they're not trying to tear you down because of how you feel about something.
So true. So true.
So, like, when it comes to being submissive, like, it's important, and it's hard for us to try to kind of articulate this. So I'm trying to take my time and like really say what I'm trying to say. The importance of being submissive in a husband and wife situation is because it fulfills the need of each individual. So when we think about as women, we need that security. We need to be loved. We need to be appreciated. And wait, the appreciation part is not as important, but you know those things like the love and knowing. If I don't know nothing else, I know my husband loves me.
Big
You know what
facts.
I'm saying? And like and the sad part, the part that breaks my heart, is that I know so many women. You know, I teach cosmetology, so I come across women, young, old, married, divorced. All there's so many women who say that they've never experienced that genuine love from a husband.
Yeah, and that's hard to hear. I've heard,
Married, married for years and
yeah,
don't feel
just
loved by your husband.
that's hard. That's hard to hear from someone. I know even in with me about to call my husband out earlier, y'all, and I'll get into why I'm not going to move forward in that area, okay? Because I'm about to play my role. All right. So, but no, it's like even I'll just reference just a touch of what he said was saying. I thought he said at least earlier. Every day is not sunshine, rainbows, and gumdrops. But guess what?
Hmm.
I know beyond a shadow of a doubt every day that he does still love me. So
Yes.
it's like even in those days where things might be hard, I still technically can submit to my husband, even when I'm angry with him, because I don't doubt that even if we've had an argument, we're disagreeing, we're not friends right now, that if somebody were to say a remote comment about me at all, they would have to put up with him because my husband will protect me at all costs. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
know that beyond a shadow of a doubt that he will protect me and he will
Yes.
he will do everything to provide for me. So it's just like like dealing with someone who's not experienced that. I wouldn't even know how to relate. I would just immediately have empathy for them. Like I
Hmm.
couldn't understand being in your situation. That is horrible. And I
Yeah.
would just immediately empathize with them, just try to put myself in a position to understand as best I could. I don't know how I would even handle someone who told me they are
That
married
they're in
and
married
he
and don't
doesn't
feel
love them.
loved and
Why are you
doesn't feel
still
loved.
married? And how did you make your choice?
But even and so still in those relationships, that's where a lot of other things come into play. Let's infidelity and when you can't when you can't when you don't feel loved. And then you're either going to feel one or two things. You're either going to feel low self-esteem, insecure because you're being submissive, you bending over backwards for this man who doesn't deserve it. And eventually that wears on you as a woman. And that's no way to live.
So
Another thing,
true.
oh,
Look at
I
this
heard
comment.
on yeah, that's something I've learned after being married for 10 years. I've learned being submissive has to flow naturally and not be forced. Absolutely. I was forcing myself to be submissive to cater to my ex-husband. Yes. I mean, absolutely, Valerie. Like that's like somebody else making the choice for you or forcing you to do something. Or you doing it because you think it's the right thing to do. Which it should come full circle. Like it should just feel natural.
How about this,
Because
friend?
mhm.
Do you think being submissive in your marriage is a major sacrifice? Does it feel like a sacrifice to you?
No, not at all. Because honestly, until we decided to have this conversation, I had to think about whether I was a submissive wife.
Same.
And I said, I guess I am. I guess I am. Like even in a sense of like if my husband come home with these ideas like, babe, we should do such and such and such and such. Now, what a submissive wife for me looks like is, well, let's talk about it. Let me see. Whereas when I think about a wife who's not submissive or a difficult wife, we just kind of dismiss. And like that's something that's for men, that is a big deal. Like you can't be dismissive towards men. And it's gonna sound okay. I'm not trying to make it sound like men like are attention whores, but they are, and men need reverence. Like how the same way women need love, men need to know that their ideas and the work they do is honored and respected. Almost if not the same amount that we need to be loved.
So
And
true.
if it's any men out there, I need y'all to chime in and say whether this is true or not. Like the fact that you might come up with something and you could come home to your wife, and if you're not married, your significant other, and give ideas and talk to and be heard. How important is that? Like it's so important.
it's extremely important. I grew up. The example I had shared was I grew up. My mom used to press my dad's clothes, everything. My mom would not only do the laundry, but she would press his clothes, hang them up. She would have dinner ready when he got home. Like to this day, I've told you, Kia, it'll be like seven something in the afternoon or whatever. My
Mm-hmm.
my mom would be done call me talking about you made dinner for your husband. Did you make dinner for your husband? Do you have food ready for him? And it's not about it being my job to prepare food for my husband, but in my family, a huge part of them displaying their submission to their husband is some of those smaller things where it might not be that big to you to cook
Mm-hmm.
dinner for someone. In our family, it was a big deal. Like, you prepared this meal, even if you have a job, like you've worked today, you made me a meal and you brought it to me. You get what I'm saying? So just those little things. But my mom would press his clothes, have his suits hanging up, have his stuff ready to go, have his meal on the table. When Daddy got up in the morning, my dad was very involved in my family. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, there were still just some things like he had his own special cup. Daddy had his own spot that he could sit in. Daddy had a seat at the
Mm-hmm.
table. There were just
Daddy got
things
the big
he
piece of
did.
chicken.
Right. Everybody hates Chris, right? Daddy got a big piece table, big piece of chicken
Big
at
pig.
at
Mm-hmm.
dinner. But it's simply just like she said, reverence. And in exchange for this reverence, because of a deserving husband, just so you
Mm-hmm.
know, this is not one sided. Just be clear. It's not one sided. We're talking about from both ends. Yes, it's the title, it's a submissive wife, but we're talking about the role of the husband too. We're about to get into that in just a second. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, preparing for him and organizing for him and doing things and having things ready for him, that was a big deal when we were growing up, is making sure that these particular things were in place and in order and in check, because that just made the house run more smooth and more
Yeah.
fluid because everyone played their part. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We played the part.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you know what? When it comes to like the whole I'm the one that cooks and cleans, like come on now, as women, let's be real. Would I would you let your husband take control of cooking and cleaning?
All right, now let's back that one up because you already know my dynamic. I do all the cooking, but my husband
Mm.
washes those dishes, and I mean without
But
question,
okay, when he does wash said dishes, does he do it the way that you do it?
he does it better than I would do
Okay, so
Full
you prefer his
disclosure,
method. You
yes,
prefer his method of cleaning and putting away dishes.
yes, I prefer his method of cleaning the kitchen. Now,
His of the kitchen.
the
Okay.
kitchen. All right, you mentioned dishes. I'm saying who does dishes, but the
Yeah.
rest of the house, he'll start and I'll come behind him. Sometimes it bothers him a little bit, but yeah, I will come behind him and clean the den and the living room and the family room and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take care of that stuff. He won't necessarily do a ton of that. He might straighten up, but as far as like cleaning, it's the kitchen is what
Yeah.
he does. Yeah.
Like I know me, I'm a little not a little, I'm a lot. I'm very particular about like certain things. Like I have had my husband fold the towels and I have
Oh
gone
no,
back
he
and
can't fold no
refolded.
towels.
I have gone back and refolded every towel because it wasn't done the way I wanted it to be
Yeah, no, he cannot
done.
fold. He's not allowed to fold towels.
So
That's not
like so
his gift.
I was asking just to say that sometimes those things to me is what we immediately think of when we say being submissive is like I do all the cooking, I do all the cleaning, da da da. But it's not, it's more than that. Being a submissive wife is allowing your husband to be the leader of the family, like to be the head of the household, to be and it's not it's never in a bullying manner. It's never in a he's always right, I'm always wrong, or I have to do like how the definition says sheep like. Like you want to when the man is the leader the way he's supposed to be, like you naturally just want to be the submissive wife. Like it's effortless.
And it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It comes easy. If it's a tug of war, it's not, somebody's not playing their part. Like how we were saying before,
Yeah.
somebody's just not playing their part. So if it's a
Like
tug of war,
what?
somebody's not doing their
Look at
part.
this comment. Look at this comment.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
most men want a submissive woman, but it's sometimes one way. The woman can sometimes feel used and not appreciated because she's not getting what she wants because she's putting all of her energy into her husband. So this is what we're talking about when it makes you feel uncomfortable to be submissive. And honestly, this goes back to like other episodes that we've had when we talked about rushing into relationships. There's so much that needs to go into your relationships before you become a wife. And I feel like that area, especially right now, people are just not paying attention to.
Yes.
Like if you if
If you haven't had a chance, go back and watch some of our previous episodes. Let's make a few recommendations. We want to
mm-hmm,
recommend self-love, self-care, I'm sorry.
mm-hmm,
The self-care episode. Okay. If you're not
yes,
married and you're trying to get to this point. So self-care, check out forgiveness. Check that
yes,
one out, and then Russian
yes.
relationships.
And Russian
Because
relationships.
yeah,
And it'll bring you right back to this episode, what we're talking
right.
about right now.
And so to catch you up to where we are as far as giving some advice, we're not revisiting a lot of the definitions and things, but they all tie together. So
Yeah,
tonight we're discussing the submissive wife.
yeah. So what's it say? Marriage is a ring you pour yourself into your spouse with the expectation of pour back in. It comes full
Right.
circle.
You can't
Right.
pour from an empty vessel. And that's 100% true. So when you start to empty yourself into him, likewise, he should be emptying into you. So let's get into those things about the expectations for the husband. Because Tanya, you are headed down the right path. So let's go ahead and get
Mm-hmm.
into those expectations. So like I said, tonight's topic, we focused on Ephesians 5. I'm going to go for it, friend.
Go ahead, do it. You can do it. I believe in you.
22 through 33.
There
Damn.
we go. There we
One
go.
second.
So,
I got it that time. Thank you so much. Ephesians, and I'm not running it back. So there it is on the screen. And so
okay.
with that,
So,
we're looking at the
mhm,
am I refusing versus can I be? And we talked about security and being protected and provided for, those amazing P's, right?
mhm.
So with that, we've talked a lot about what the wife is doing and what the wife's role is. But let's get down to what we have here outlined or set up for explaining where the husband falls in this matter. So do you want to head
Mhm.
down that road first, or you want me to go and kick it off?
I'll start it off and then I'll let you go into the husbands because I just want to be clear that where we got this submissive wives is in the beginning of this chapter in Ephesians. So what's happening here in Ephesians is Paul is coming back and pretty much telling the Christians how they're supposed to live. Right? Am I right? Is that what's going on?
Are
Marquita.
you waiting on my answer? Yes. Go.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
As I said, right. That's what's going on, right? I mean, from my understanding and me reading the chapter, this is like, okay, this is how you carry yourself. So the beginning of this scripture, these verses that we talk about, it talks about the woman submitting to your husband as though you would submit to the Lord. The husband is head of the wife as Christ is head of the church. So we're equating wife with church. So let's think about how Christ is head of the church and husband is supposed to be head of the wife. So when you think of Christ being the head of the church, that's unconditional love. That's sacrifice. He sacrificed his life, all of this for the church. So how many of us can say that we know a man with the level of love and sacrifice that is equivalent or even close to the same type of love that Christ had for the church?
In other words, is he willing to give his life for you?
Mm-hmm.
His wife. Would he give his life for you? Are there any husbands viewing us tonight who would give their lives for their wife? So picture it, gunpoint, quickly. I need to see answers. I need to see answers. Y'all, my husband is at work, so I don't know if he's going to answer or not, but I'm just saying.
Jimmy said yes.
Jimmy says yes. There we go. There's her husband chime in. All right, so yes, if she's talking about that level of love where he's willing to give it all. Like he'll turn his pockets inside out. He'll give his last breath. He will protect you to the ends of the earth. And that is exactly how really what I'm so done with this guy. If you're viewing on YouTube, you see his nonsense.
You saw the
we got the
TikTok. You saw the TikTok with the little kids. I love you, Mom. I die for you. The little baby say, die.
Lord.
We gotta die.
Lord.
So, out of these 22, from 22 to 33, how many scriptures is that? 11. Out of these 11 scriptures, 11 verses, right? Mm-hmm. Only 3 of them talk to the wife about being submissive. The other, what's 11 minus 3, y'all? Come on, math. 9.
Disconnected.
Speaks about the husband and his responsibilities. So, his responsibilities are to love your wife the way Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for the church. It also says to make her holy and clean. This is not the type of husband that goes around because you mad, bad mouthing your wife. Oh, I came home and I had to wait 20 minutes for dinner to be done. She was home all day. Oh, she going out here doing X, Y, Z. That is not the way Christ loved the church. You wouldn't be the husband that is speaking negatively about his wife in front of or behind her back. Like you wouldn't, the type of husband that we would be willing to submit to doesn't do this. Right? The wife is supposed to be a part of the husband. When we say our vows, the two become one. So you wouldn't go around talking about yourself and downgrading yourself and calling yourself lazy and ugly and fat or whatever and disrespectful and rude. So if you are one with your wife and you love your wife, then you wouldn't be going around, speaking ill of her. And a lot of husbands are out here speaking ill, like I said, in front of, behind their back, but you want a submissive wife. How that's gonna work? Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. So I've been getting on my husband about fixing my door. So I guess this triggered him. He said, "I'm gonna fix the door."
But wait, do you see him down there? I'll pay to get the door fixed. Y'all, my husband is not the handyman. However, my office door does need to be fixed as well. So he'll pay to get the door fixed. But no, yes. You're correct. You're correct 100%. So in other words, when you're having disagreements with your wife, y'all not getting along, y'all not seeing eye to eye, it's not for you as her husband to go and uncover her flaws. Like in the scriptures that we reviewed through, it talks about how you present her flawless, like how Christ presents the church flawless without blemish or wrinkle and things like that. And it's like, you can't just do that, especially if you're entering into a sincere union of marriage. Like there is a guide for that. Okay. You know how they say you got married before God, right? When they say that before God part, they're referencing that agreement that is outlined clearly.
That contract.
Right. And so it's like you made this decision to be married, but yet when you disagree with her, instead of discussing it with her, you going out telling your friends, or you going out telling everybody else that you know about the issues you're having, all the while she knows absolutely nothing about what you're dealing with. Or she might feel like something is up and then still just go forward anyway, like just doing what it is that she knows to do. She'll just continue moving forward, doing those things she knows to do, not realizing that you're outside relieving your emotions by sharing these issues with people outside of your marriage. Like the marriage is the safest place for the other unit in the, union.
Yeah. And you know what? I also feel like this is how a lot of people get caught up too, especially men. They get caught up complaining to another woman about their woman.
Facts.
Or you mess around and be complaining to another man who been checking for your woman.
Period.
And stuff goes on that you didn't expect. I remember
Oh
I think
man.
we went to one of these one of the marriage conferences, and it was with Dr. Gary Chapman. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He wrote the Five Love Languages. But he said he called it the coffee pot trap. Like, you at work on break and you just stand, both of you are getting coffee and you spark up a conversation. If that
Ooh.
conversation gets to be a little bit too, too personal, you need to stay away from the coffee pot. I'm talking about bring your own, get a thermos, bring your coffee with you. Stay
Oh
away from the
man.
coffee pot. You sitting up there talking to Glenda at the coffee pot, talking about your wife. And she like, what? And then us as women, we can't help it. We get all in. So what else she do? And how did that
Right?
make you feel? And oh, that's I would never. And then this is how things get out of control, and you've befriended somebody that you ain't had no business befriending on that level.
So true. So true. That's how those sparks begin.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
if it's gas in the room and you light a flame, it's gonna blow. You get what I'm saying? And so if she's
Yeah.
filling that room up with gas and all you needed to do was flash her a little smile to set the fire, you about to blow that whole room up if she's trying to fill it
Yeah.
up with gas. So just
Mhm.
keep those things in mind. And that applies to women too, just so you know. That
Mm.
applies to us too. Now, granted, in this outline, it definitely oh, we got a good one here. It definitely does explain that the man is to love his wife, right?
Yes.
The man is the one who's charged with loving the
Yeah.
wife. It never says that the wife is supposed to love the husband.
Mhm.
Just saying. So let's see what this comment says. I had a friend that had the same issue, and I had to tell her talking to me is not going to fix it. She needs to talk to her husband to get that relationship.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. And like that is it's so hard, but like that's the real deal thing to do.
That's a
Like,
fact.
okay, you telling me ain't gonna help.
So we
And
watched.
that's another indication, guys. If you buy the coffee pot and the person you talk to don't tell you to go back and talk to your wife or your significant other, that's the clue that she checking for you. JS. Oh, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, you just paused and I was like, is she still there?
I was letting you finish.
Oh, I was done. Once I said IJS, that was the end.
That was the period. I cannot. But no, in all sincerity though, the term submissive, it does lead people down a path where they're thinking that that means weakness. And being
Mm,
submissive is not a sign of weakness. It's literally you trusting someone enough to give them that authority in your relationship. Because nothing has two heads unless it's
mm-mm.
deformed. That's an anomaly. Nothing naturally has two heads.
Yeah.
So with that, something is always leading somehow. So we watched a video clip with Fantasia that was circulating what almost 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a
Mm-hmm.
half ago, when she was talking about how she basically got her junk together. Okay, for lack of better words, if you watch The Breakfast Club, you've probably heard it. If you have any sort of engagement on YouTube, you've probably seen it. So in that clip, she's explaining like how even though in chess the queen is the most valuable component, that the husband would be considered the head, but the wife is like the neck. In other words, the head can't do nothing without the neck.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you can't
the
do
head
something with
can't
that.
turn, it can't move, it can't nod, it can't do anything without the attachment of the neck. Like it's so important for us to realize that just because I have taken the position of the neck, for lack of better words, that's
Mm-hmm.
not saying that I don't have any say so or any opinion or anything. It's saying that I'm trusting my husband, the person who I've signed documentation with, who gets all my stuff if something happens to me. Okay.
All my stuff.
All my stuff if something happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The person who I literally share every component or aspect of life with once I sign on that line. I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
that I'm trusting that I, as a reasonable human, have made a valuable decision to be with someone who I could trust that much. That's what marriage is. Like, the
Yeah.
submissive part is not a flaw. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, someone had said something to me, they mentioned the show and they were asking questions and stuff like that, and I was just like, yeah, we're gonna talk about the submissive wife. They're like, submissive for what? Like, what you mean submissive for what? Submissive is not a bad
Yeah.
thing. It's
Yeah.
really not a bad thing, and it doesn't look like what we thought it looked like. As
Mm-hmm.
we started talking through it more and more, submission just doesn't look the way that you would think. It doesn't. Anybody who knows me in my relationship, you'll probably be like, nah, she be carrying on and doing all da 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 da. But no, in reality, if you actually look at the face value of my marriage, I am quite submissive.
Yeah.
I am actually
Yeah.
dramatically
And
submissive.
like we said before, like once you become the submissive wife, it's easy. It's not. It doesn't even take an effort. And the only reason we realized we were submissive is, like I said, because we had this conversation. And
Yeah, because
it's like, yeah, and you have to have a leader to submit to, and then being a leader, that's a whole nother topic. But in an essence of like saying like what men and women or the husband and wife is responsible for, like a good leader knows his strengths and weaknesses and knows your strengths and weaknesses. Because in a lot of marriages, let's say, and it's common in a lot of marriages for the man to be in charge of the finances, right? But
yeah,
if you're a man and you realize that your wife is stronger than you in finances, and that is what she does, it's still that the respect I have for my husband for realizing that allows me to be even more submissive.
right. Because in my
Like
home, we
it
have the
takes a
same
leader.
dynamic. It
Mm-hmm.
definitely does. It takes a sincere leader to understand their strengths and weaknesses. And because of the leader that I am married to, he is very well aware of where he's strong and where I can benefit him, because I am a substantial help to, the cause, for lack of better words.
Yeah. So that's where I feel like, and I think somebody had commented that too, about how men are not they're not equipped to be leaders, or it's hard for them to be leaders because we've tore them down, we've belittled them so much, and said we're not going to be submissive. So it's like, and it also seems like, and I got to pick on us because that's who I know. I know us. I know my melanin in the people.
Hmm.
Like the average melanin in woman is not easily submissive. She like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. You ain't gonna tell me what to wear. You ain't gonna tell me where to go and what time to do it.
Right.
So that attitude that comes off so harsh, it takes a strong man to be able to be like, okay, honey, but this is what we're gonna do anyway.
Right.
you know?
That's a fact.
So that leadership quality, oh Jimmy, oh, you gonna learn today. It does. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like was very much that vocal, hard headed, opinionated black woman in my relationship.
Oh, big
And
facts.
we need to put a round of applause for my husband because he realized that. He realized that and got us to a point where he made me feel comfortable enough to know that I don't have to be so defensive or I don't have to be so aggressive for him to understand me. And also I can trust him. Because that's what it all boils down to. Like, can I trust my husband as the leader? Can I trust him in this leadership role? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And when you think about that, like that's why sometimes we get so upset when our men do things that we deem to be unleadership like. Because it's like, you done got me to trust you and be submissive, and then you had the nerve to fill in the blank, whatever you wanted to. Once you
Uh-huh.
got me in this, once you have me in this submissive role, oh, you better. I'm pretty. Let me tell you, you better stay. You better stay consistent because it's easy for me to turn it off. Would you agree?
That's so true.
Mm-hmm. And you think about it, the minute you get mad, the first thing you do is stop being submissive.
That's a fact. It's almost like a form of rebellion. Like I'm pushing back. I'm not going to
Like,
do these things because I feel like you really don't deserve it. It's like I'm taking it away from you because I
mm-hmm.
don't feel like you deserve my submission today because you decided to make me angry or make me sad. Do you want to share a little clip from the Fantasia video clip?
Oh, yeah, okay, we can do that. Am I doing that?
So
You doing it?
someone asked, I have it right here. Someone
Okay,
asked a
cool.
question where they were saying, you know, can you be equal? Right? Can you be equal in that area?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put it up here so you all can catch it. It should be right here above us. So let me go ahead and play that. I believe it's queued right up. Let me check.
Be equal? Oh, of course. But see, at the end of the day, I'm the neck, my man's the head. So he can't make any moves without his wife. You know what I mean? It all works together. But you can't be the head of the house. You got to let the man be the head of the house. But it's a generational thing, and it's what we've been taught. Stand up, be strong, be the, you know what I mean? And a dude come and you, everything about you is like a man. Sometimes we have no choice, though. But that's what I was saying. It's a generational thing, and that's what society has. They do that on purpose.
So you think women have to fall back a little for their man? Is that what you think?
You have to learn how to submit. You can still be a queen. Queen plays a part. The king needs his queen. There's certain things that he can't see that we see. Some people would say the queen is the most valuable piece on the board. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it that way. Like Fantasia had this whole conversation where she literally was just kind of debunking the whole thing, where people are finding the flaws in being submissive.
Have placed our men. Mm-hmm. And women have to stand up and be the mother and the father and the.
So I had to get that to pull away. My bad, y'all. But
Okay.
yeah, what she was saying with the whole, the woman is the neck and the man is the head. But then at the same time, there are things that a woman can do that a man just cannot facilitate. And you use that example, not necessarily us saying that our husbands do not facilitate these things, but they do acknowledge the strengths that we have in our role in our marriage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what she was talking about was like the generational curses. It's just like, from because especially us melanin, I like to call us our melanin people, our family structure was destroyed early on. And trying to build it back because our head, which would have been the black man, has been torn down so much. Sometimes it's hard for us to find men or for us to see men as their role as the leader. But once we recognize them as the leader, it's much easier for them to play the role as the leader. Like I see a lot of these young men whose moms, and it's out of, a lot of it is out of fear. We want to protect them. Like I know I have this thing where I tell my kids, like, I'm gonna let you know before the police have to show you how. Like I'm and we have this protectiveness, and we almost take their thinking away from them. Like we problem solve for them. We like, oh no, don't go, I'll go, because we've been so afraid, and especially like nowadays with the whole Black Lives Matter, like, but we have to separate that from what goes on in our marriage. Like being a submissive wife doesn't mean doing everything, babying and making your husband just be go to work and come home and do nothing. That's not what it means.
Right.
Like it just means that this man is the leader. He's the leader. And like I said, a good leader, when you understand what a good leader is, a good leader makes sure that all the moving parts flow together.
Yes, exactly. And like how you said, where parents do all of these things, the one of the last things at the bottom in the section that we were reviewing through, it mentions how the man leaves his mother and his wife to become one with his wife. I said
yes, his
what did I
mother and
say?
father.
His mother and father. I said his mother and his wife. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
man
doing
leaves
so
his
good.
father. Yeah, man
Yes.
leaves father and mother become one with his wife.
Yeah, he becomes one. They become the same flesh and the same, everything. So is that saying? Do you, from that part of it, do you get that that means that you always have to agree,
No, not at all. Mm-mm.
or
I
maybe
wake
you
up
always
every
have to
morning and
concede?
don't. I wake up every morning and don't agree with my stomach, and we one body. I be wanting to go in my pants. He want to hang over top. We disagree every day, but I'm still one body. And the same is true for you and your husband. The two of you have become one flesh. That does not mean we're gonna agree all the time. That does
Right.
not mean we always gonna think the same.
Like, let's just be
But
real. I disagree with myself sometimes.
that's
So I'll be
that's what
like,
I'm
it's
saying.
like your heart say you want this thing, but your mind says bad idea. Like,
Mm-hmm.
same thing,
But
same
at the
same
end of the
concept.
day, just like I said, me and my stomach, we don't agree on how we should be living. But guess what? We got to get up and do what we got to do every day together. I can't take my stomach off. So guess what? I can't take my husband off either. Because we done
Oh my
decided to become
gosh.
one flesh.
What's most important though, let's just be real, is understanding, wow, I froze with the most unappealing appearance. So it's gonna be interesting on the playback. Um, but no, in all sincerity though, what we really have to understand is that even tonight's topic of a submissive wife, we're saying wife. That's a big deal. Okay. And it's not like how we talked about Russian relationships. It's not about just getting that ring. There's so much more than a piece of paper and a ring when it comes to being someone's wife.
Yeah.
And as we build on our topics and things like that, we do have a few things coming down the line. Not next week though, but we're gonna talk about Black love and marriage, and we'll be able to share some of those things with you, understanding a little bit deeper in the dynamics. Right now, we're just trying to kind of brush the surface of what it means or what it should look like in a submissive position,
Yeah.
and just understanding that even as a submissive wife, you are due a little extra too. So he's supposed to love you like he loves himself. So in other words, if he not gonna hit himself, he don't need to be hitting you, honey. If he's not going to belittle himself, he doesn't need to be belittling you, hun. So with that, those things that we're saying are expected of us by entering into this agreement of marriage. It comes with these rules, and the rules don't only apply to the wife. And that's
No.
where some of the confusion comes from. It looks like Linda put in the chat, respecting each other's point of view is very important. So it doesn't mean we got to agree. It just means that I need to respect the fact that you might be looking at it a little different from me.
Yeah, and what that looks like is like just because you say a certain thing is a certain way, me respecting your opinion means that I'm not going around talking about you. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm not saying that don't make no sense. I could just say, you know what, I don't understand and I don't want to talk about it right now. That is a respectful way to handle a disagreement. And it's not me cussing you out. It's not, I'm like, God, how could you think that? Like, just respect that we still are different. Even though we've become one flesh, we may disagree, but we still want to move together as a unit.
So true. You can ask my husband. My go-to is, oh, we're not about to have an argument. I'm so quick to be like, oh, because we're not arguing. Like, what's going on? Like, we're not arguing. And so I'm so quick to do that. If there's a disagreement, I'll be so fast to be like, oh, we're not. I wasn't arguing. What's this? Because you can have a disagreement in peace. That is possible. I cannot want to deal with you respectfully.
Yeah.
And so
I will say that, like, early on in my marriage, and actually like for a long time, I was always the more vocal one, the more I'd start the argument. And my husband was very quiet usually about it until like one day we had to have like a real hard conversation where I'm like you don't say nothing. So it's like, do you even care that we having this disagreement? I'm like, and his thing was like, he didn't want to say anything that would make me hurt to the point that I would feel like I want to leave. And like when I think about that now, like the honor he must have for me to be so upset that so clearly you wanted to say something that would hurt my feelings, but for you to withhold that to the point of, because you didn't want to hurt me that bad, like that takes a strong person. That's some leadership. And then, I mean, we got to a point now though where I'm like, well, you can't do that, because eventually it might all build up and then we're gonna be on one of them TV shows. So if it's something where it's a hard conversation or he got something he want to say, he'll be like, I just don't want to talk about it right now. Just give me some time. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
We often joke.
me as the submissive wife, I respect that. I'm like, okay.
We often make a joke that we're married to the same person, because that is my husband's go-to as well. I don't want to talk about that right now. Nope.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that right now. And so that's his go-to as well. And so it's definitely something that comes with, like we were saying, it's mutual respect, mutual caring, mutual kindness, mutual love. But let's just keep in mind that the outline says the husband is to love the wife. I like
Oh
to
my
point that
goodness. Here
out.
you go.
I feel like that's so important. Like, that is so important. Like, the husband is to love the wife. And I'm trying to get it exact as you said it. You said reverence, but it says the husband is to love the wife, and the wife is to respect the husband. So love
That's
from
that
the husband,
reverence.
respect from the wife, which is reverence, as she said. So keep that stuff in mind, y'all. These are all the check. Y'all need to get some lists. We should have had like a supply list before we started tonight's live. So they had they pen and paper. You know what I'm saying? Like, put this in your notes. You want this in your notes, honey. So to anybody watching this and you're not married, these are the things you put on your checklist. Okay? Does he love and respect you? Can you respect him?
Yes.
Can you allow him to make a decision for your life's journey? So these are all the things that you should be thinking about. Like, not, oh, he bought me such a beautiful ring, or, oh, we're going to have my dream wedding, because ever since you were a little girl, you've had this thing in your brain. Listen, you can have the most gorgeous wedding and have a trash marriage. And you don't want to put yourself in that position. Now, we didn't share our demographic or our background, but I've been married for 5, closing in on 6 years. And Kia has been married closing in on 20 years. So that is the experience dynamic. So she is probably better versed in being submissive for a longer period of time. Whereas, although I was raised in the submissive dynamic with the concept or understanding, when I got married, I was like, oh no, I'm about to do this all the way different. This about to be different. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I referenced about the doing the laundry and folding the clothes, girl, listen, tell me where I'm at when it's time to get some clothes clean. And am I sorting out the clothes and only washing my own? No. I tell him, I'm like, hey, just bring it up to the laundry door, bro. I got you. And there are days that he do his own laundry. And as far as fixing his food, I actually do. And I like it.
Yeah.
Because it's okay for me. Like, I enjoy when I fix him a plate. Friend, have you ever made your husband some food and brought it to him and he just thoroughly enjoyed the food you have prepared? That is such a gratifying feeling. Such a gratifying feeling. And it's because I sincerely love this person. I sincerely love this person and care, and their well-being is at the forefront of my to-do list. And likewise, my well-being is at the forefront of his. You know, every day's a work in progress, but it's definitely
absolutely.
It's definitely,
because I will say this, even though I've been married longer, if we compared oranges to oranges, apples to apples, you figured it out before I did.
What you mean?
Being submissive and understanding the whole leadership role of the husband took me some time, but I see the light.
I can't.
I was very much that whole, because you think of, like, just like Fantasia had said, like, yes, we're equal, but we're equal because we work together as one body. But when you hear it, when you say submissive, it makes it seem like I'm not equal. When in all actuality, yeah, I am.
You're more equal than you know, hon. You're more equal than you know. The thing is that, like, I like how you used the example of a job and you referenced some of that. People can connect to that. So think of it like this. So you work you're at your job and your role is to answer phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody else's role is to send emails. Fair
Mm-hmm.
enough?
That's fair
So
enough.
they both get the job done to make an effective functioning company.
Mm-hmm.
However, they're equal but separate.
Yeah.
So they're different, jobs, but they still benefit the greater good. So
Yeah.
understanding that
Because
just because you
that
submit,
job per se would not function without both people.
it
And
has
the
to have
same is
all the
true for
components.
the entity of the family. That head of the household needs to be there. That man needs that role, and that submissive wife needs to be there too, so that the whole function of the relationship, the marriage, the family continues to go smoothly.
So true, so true, so true. So we want to start to bend the corner on the way out the door here. What we're saying is tonight we discussed the submissive wife. And in this conversation, we more or less focused on the fact of understanding the roles. We're not saying that if you're not a submissive wife, you suck and go on and find something else to do with yourself. What we're saying is just kind of understanding what submissive actually looks like. So many
Mm-hmm.
people have a bad taste in their mouth over being a submissive wife when in reality it's natural and it comes easy when you have the right person
That
supporting
right?
you.
Yes.
So again, please go back and watch those other videos, because if you are in a position where you're married and you feel like you can't submit to your husband, honey, somewhere you missed a checkbox.
Yeah.
Somewhere you missed a checkbox, because you should consider those things prior to entering into that binding agreement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
consider those things. But we thank you so much, so much everyone for tuning in tonight to tune in with the Melanin Mindset and hear about the submissive wife. If you want to know what we're going to be discussing next week, you will just have to tune in, because we stream here live each week, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. on YouTube. Where else?
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and
And
Twitter.
Twitter.
All right, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And that is 8:30 p.m. Eastern, because I messed it up last week. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and that
Mm-hmm.
is 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Right here, wherever you're viewing us right now, you can catch us again next week, same place, same time. Do we want to leave them with a tip?
I also wanted to say that our all of our lives are available to watch at any time on YouTube. Because I had a lot of people telling me, "Oh my God, I missed it. I was so upset." And I'm like, "You can go back and watch it." So just so you know, they are still there on. They're on Facebook too, aren't they? They're
They should
on
be, yeah.
the replays. The replays
Yep.
are on Facebook and
Hmm.
YouTube, so you can always go back and watch them at any time. We would love it if you found a message that we talked about that would be beneficial for somebody, for you to share it with a friend. And
Yes.
yeah, it'll really help the channel, and we really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. We are on our journey to 100 subscribers on YouTube. So we knocked 100 out the park on Facebook. Y'all, Facebook is the easy one. It's that YouTube
Yes,
that's giving us a little bit of trouble. So if you are viewing on YouTube, please share our YouTube link with a friend, with a
and make
family
sure
member,
you're
somebody.
subscribed. Make sure you're
Yes, subscribe.
subscribed.
When we hit 100 subscribers, we have something to share with you all. But we did tell them last week, Kia. We told them last week on episode 10, we're going to be doing
Next
a giveaway.
episode. Yes, we are.
Yes, episode 10, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So today's episode 7. So if you're watching the playback right now, you're watching episode 7. If you go back and you see that there's an episode 10 already there, sis, you're a couple weeks behind, okay, friend? But if you are looking right now and you don't see an episode 8 or even a 9 or a 10, then you can still get in on
Yes,
the
you can
bandwagon,
still
because we're
get
going to be
in.
giving a giveaway. Number one, we have a special giveaway for the one person who has viewed every single live.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple y'all out there, okay? But if you have been on live, tuned
On
in,
live, on everyone,
like
from
on the
episode
live,
1 through 10, we got a gift for you.
yes, we have a gift for you that we'll be sending out your way. We'll announce you, of course, and then we'll get your
For our
information.
MVP. For our
Yeah,
MVP.
yes. And
Or
so
should
with
we say
that,
our MVW? Our most valuable watcher?
or MVV, most valuable viewer. I
Oh,
like that.
okay.
That's a thing. We should
We
make that a thing. Hashtag
Our
MVV.
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 Hashtag MVV. All right. So on episode 10, we're going to be giving out a special gift to the person who has viewed every one of our episodes live and in living color with us when we streamed on a Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So you don't want to miss that, and you don't want to miss when we hit that 100 subscribers, the things we're going to be doing and the information we're going to be sharing with you. We cannot wait to smash out both of these goals. So let's go ahead and give them a tip to leave with. We like to encourage you to make sure you get through your week, and don't forget about yourself. That's what I want to give. In all of this, I know we shared about being submissive to your husband and, being vulnerable and exposing those things that you may protect from the rest of the world with your husband. But don't forget to check in with yourself.
Check in
Self-care
and be
is
yourself.
Important. Yes, and be yourself, like Kia likes
Did
to
I
say.
share? Did I?
Everyone else is
already taken.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you check in on yourself, because even though your husband will love you as Christ loved the church, nobody can love you like you love yourself. So I will see you all next week, Kia.
See you next week, which would be after Christmas. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it'll be after Christmas. But you want to tune into our social media, because I'm headed to Florida tomorrow.
Yes. Oh. Yes, you are. So
yes.
We will definitely have some footage of us together.
Yes. If you missed our intro for this episode, you can catch it again next week. But make sure you're in early for our intro that we did.
You can watch it on the replay.
Oh yeah,
watch it on the replay.
Yeah, run it back. Catch our special intro that we did for the holidays. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful night. I am the Nappy Dreamer.
And I'm Kia Blaine, signing off for the Melanin Mindset.
Bye.
Bye.
Looking to kick off a little healthy competition this holiday season? Pick up any of these 3 games. They're on the top of our list this season. Enjoy the holidays, Mindset family.